An alien mother slept outside a human's door, with her child whispering they'd leave if unwanted vertical bar. HFY, the station, drifted in silence, wrapped in the soft hum of machines and distant stars. It was a small human outpost at the edge of mapped space, built more for watching than living. Long metal halls curved like ribs around its core, and most people who worked there learned to love quiet, because loud things usually meant trouble. Evan had just finished a late maintenance shift. His boots echoed as he walked down the residential corridor, lights dimmed to night mode. He was tired in the deep, heavy way that made thoughts slow. All he wanted was to get inside his room, eat something warm, and sleep. He stopped. Something was wrong. At first, he thought it was just a shadow near his door. Then, the shadow moved. Someone was sitting on the floor, pressed against the wall beside his door panel. Evan's hand moved on instinct toward the emergency call strip, but he froze when he saw what it was. It was not human. The figure was thin, wrapped in a dark, worn cloak that looked like it had been patched many times. Its skin showed in places, a soft gray-blue color that caught the corridor light. Long fingers curled protectively around a much smaller shape in its arms. A child. The smaller one was tucked close to the larger figure's chest, eyes half open, body shaking. The child's skin was a lighter shade, almost silver, and its breathing was shallow. Evan's heart began to pound. Aliens were not unheard of. Humans had met other species years ago. But this station was not a place where visitors arrived without notice, especially not refugees, especially not like this. The larger figure lifted its head slowly. Its face was narrow, eyes too large, dark, and tired. One side of its face was stained with dried blood. They looked at Evan, fear clear even without shared language. The child shifted slightly and whispered something in a soft, broken voice. "We can go, if we are not wanted." The words were spoken in rough human speech, like someone repeating sounds they had learned by listening. Evan felt his chest tighten. The corridor lights flickered. That was when he noticed something else. His door panel was dark, no indicator lights, no access glow. That should not happen. The station's system never fully powered down doors unless there was an emergency lockdown. Evan looked down the corridor. The wall screens were blank too. No alerts, no warnings, just silence. "Hey," Evan said softly, not even sure why he whispered. I didn't know anyone was out here." The alien mother did not move closer. She only held the child tighter, as if ready to flee at any sound. Evan swallowed. Helping them would break rules, big ones. Harboring an unauthorized alien life form could mean prison or spacing, depending on command mood. But leaving them there felt wrong in a way that went deeper than rules. The child's eyes met his. They were too calm for someone so small. "I'm Evan," he said slowly, pointing to himself. "This is my room." The mother tilted her head, watching his gestures carefully. Footsteps echoed faintly from far down the corridor. Evan's breath caught. Station security did not patrol this wing at night. Someone was coming. The mother heard it too. Her shoulders tightened. She shifted, trying to stand, but her legs trembled. She almost fell. Evan reacted without thinking. He stepped forward and held out a hand, not touching, just offering support. "It's okay," he said. "Just stay still." The footsteps grew louder. Heavy boots. More than one person. Evan made a choice. He slapped his palm against the manual override of his door panel. It should not have worked without power, but the door slid open with a soft hiss. lights inside flickering weakly. The mother stared at the open doorway. The child whispered again, "Are we allowed?" "Yes," Evan said, his voice tight. "You are." They moved quickly, silently. Evan guided them inside and sealed the door just as shadows passed outside. The lock engaged. The room felt smaller with 3 beings inside, but warmer. Evan leaned against the door, heart racing. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then the station intercom crackled to life faintly, distorted. "All personnel," a voice said, calm and cold. "Remain in your quarters until further notice. Security protocols are being adjusted." Evan closed his eyes. Adjusted never meant anything good. He turned back to the mother and child. Up close, the injuries were worse than he first thought. The mother's side was wrapped in crude bandages soaked through. The child's hands shook. "Sit," Evan said, guiding them toward the small bench by his sleeping area. "Get over." The mother hesitated, then sat carefully. She watched everything Evan did, eyes sharp despite exhaustion. "I can get medical supplies," Evan said, "but I need to know, are there more of you?" The mother paused. Then she shook her head slowly. "No more," she said, her voice low and strained. "Not here." The child leaned against her, eyes drifting closed. Evan opened a storage drawer and pulled out a basic med kit. As he worked, he noticed something strange. The child's breathing slowed when Evan was near, like the fear eased just a little. "Why here?" Evan asked quietly. "The station isn't safe." The mother looked at the door, then back at him. "Because humans listen," she said. "At least, some do." Evan did not know what to say to that. He cleaned the wound carefully. The mother did not flinch, even when it clearly hurt.
"You're brave," Evan muttered. She gave a tired expression that might have been a smile. "Only because I must be." The room lights dimmed suddenly. Evan's wrist console buzzed to life with a message that should not have been able to reach him. "Unauthorized life form detected. Location pending confirmation." His blood ran cold. "They know," he whispered. The mother closed her eyes. "Yes," she said. "They always do." The child stirred and looked at Evan again. "Will they make you send us away?" the child asked. Evan knelt so he was eye level. "I don't know," he said honestly, "but I won't open that door." Outside, Boots stopped right in front of his room. A hand rested against the door. The lock beeped once, as if someone was testing it. Evan held his breath. The child squeezed the mother's hand and whispered the same words again, softer this time. "We'll leave if we're unwanted." Evan straightened, jaw set. On the other side of the door, a voice spoke. "Open up. We just want to ask a few questions." The room seemed to shrink around them. Evan did not move, and the door did not open. The corridor beyond Evan's door was still, but the silence was heavy with threat. The footsteps had vanished as suddenly as they had arrived, leaving only the soft hum of the station. Inside, the alien mother, Lyra, sat quietly beside her child, Tavi, who clung to her like a small silver flame. Evan kept glancing at the door, unsure if it would remain secure. His mind raced. He knew he had made a dangerous choice. Harboring Lyra and Tavi could lead to serious consequences, but leaving them outside meant certain capture, or worse, and he could not let that happen. Not after seeing the child's wide, fearful eyes. He moved to the small storage shelf near the corner and pulled out a pack of nutrient rations. He offered them to Lyra, who accepted with careful hands.
then pass some to Tavi. The child ate slowly, watching Evan, as if measuring his intentions.
"You are hurt," Evan said, his voice low, "and this place is not safe."
I need to know more about what happened. Lyra hesitated. She glanced down at Tavi, then spoke in halting English, each word carefully chosen. We were running. Our ship destroyed. People not friendly. Evan nodded, trying to understand. Your ship? Who destroyed it? Humans, she said, barely above a whisper.
Command. They
said my people are dangerous. Evan's brow furrowed. That could not be true. Not all humans could be so cruel, could they? But the reality of their situation, the fear in Lyra's eyes, made him doubt the safety of the rules he had always followed. A soft chime interrupted their conversation. Evan looked at his console, a small, blinking notification. Security logs. He hesitated before opening it. The log showed only shadows, a few quick frames of movement in the corridor outside. It looked deliberate, as though someone wanted to erase proof of Lyra and Tavi's presence. Whoever it was, they were careful. This station, someone is hiding you, Evan muttered. Do you know who? Lyra shook her head. We only know they follow. Tavi whispered something, a soft word Evan did not understand, but the meaning was clear. Fear. Evan leaned back, rubbing his face. He needed help, not from security, not from anyone official. That would mean surrender. He thought of the station staff who worked quietly, unseen. He remembered Ryan, a maintenance worker who often stayed late, fixing minor systems without questions. Ryan trusted no one in command, and that might make him the ally they needed. He tapped his comms quietly. Rin? There was a pause. Then a low voice answered. Evan, it's late. What's wrong? I need help. There are 2 aliens in my room. They need to stay hidden. And I think someone is trying to find them. Ryan's voice grew cautious. Aliens? You mean here? On the station? Yes. Please, can you come quietly? Give me 5, Ryan said. Evan ended the call and looked back at Lyra and Tavi. Someone is coming to help, he whispered. Tavi tilted their head, the childlike fear softening slightly. Are humans always kind? Evan shook his head slowly. Not always, but some. They try. Minutes passed, the door remained shut. Outside, the faint hum of boots and the distant clatter of metal suggested that the station was still awake, watching. Evan felt trapped in a cage, knowing that at any moment, authority could knock again. But the presence of Ryan gave him hope. A soft knock sounded on a service panel near the ceiling. Evan pulled the panel aside. Ryan's face appeared through the narrow opening, careful, eyes scanning the hall. Quick, Evan said. Help them. Rin nodded and slipped inside. We need to move them, Rin said, whispering. The longer they stay here, the higher the risk. I know a place, unused maintenance tunnels. Hardly anyone ever checks them. Lyra looked uncertain. Too dangerous? No, Evan said firmly. It's safer than this room. They prepared quickly. Ah! Evan gathered a few essentials while Ryan checked the access points. Tavi held Lyra's hand tightly, reluctant to move. The child's eyes were wide with a mixture of curiosity and fear. The corridor outside was empty. Evan led, Ryan in the middle, and Lyra and Tavi following. They moved silently, avoiding the main hallways. Evan's heart pounded with every step. The station, usually predictable, now felt like a labyrinth of threats. At the junction near the power conduits, they paused. Ryan signaled. "This way," Ryan whispered. A narrow hatch led into darkness. Maintenance lights flickered weakly inside. They slipped in. Evan closed the hatch behind them. Inside, the air smelled of oil and metal. Pipes ran along the walls, humming softly. The space was tight, but it gave them cover. Lyra held Tavi close, the child's head resting against her shoulder. For the first time, they seemed to relax slightly. "We'll stay here until it's safe," Ryan said. "I can monitor the corridors from this side." Hours passed. Evan tried to keep conversation light. He asked about Tavi's favorite things, about small habits of Lyra's people. The alien mother spoke slowly, hesitant, but each word built trust. They learned that Tavi liked quiet lights and soft vibrations, that Lyra had once cared for dozens of children on her homeworld before they fled. Through the ventilation system, they could hear distant echoes of the station. Footsteps, mechanical beeps, doors sliding open. Every sound made them tense, but Ryan assured them they were not detected. They were ghosts moving inside metal bones. A sudden alert chimed in the tunnels, startling them. Evan checked his wrist console. It was a minor power fluctuation in a distant section. Nothing threatening, but it reminded him how fragile their cover was. Lyra looked at him. "Will they come for us?"
"Yes," Evan admitted. "But not if we stay hidden."
"And not if we can explain. You're not dangerous."
You just need time, Tavi whispered again.
"Do humans always help?" Evan smiled faintly, exhaustion weighing on him. "Some do, some try. I'm one of them." Hours passed. Darkness settled around them, heavy and protective. The hum of machinery became a lullaby. Tavi's breathing slowed further, comforted by Lyra's arms and the faint reassurance of human kindness. Evan watched them, understanding that small choices could make monumental differences. He realized that even here, at the edge of human space, compassion could be a weapon stronger than any protocol or law. The corridor outside the tunnels remained quiet, but they all knew the station had eyes everywhere. Any noise, any wrong signal, and their presence would be discovered. Evan and Ryan shared a glance, silent agreement that they would not let that happen. Time passed in near silence. The station's systems hummed, the occasional beep breaking the monotony. Lyra whispered soft words to Tavi in her language, words Evan did not understand, but the meaning was clear. They were not alone now. Someone believed in their safety, and that small hope felt larger than the stars outside. Then, through a crack in the ventilation panel, Evan caught movement in the corridor above. Two shadowed figures passed by, stopping near his former quarters. Their voices were muffled, urgent. He could not hear exactly what they said, but the tone was clear. A search had begun. They were looking. Evan swallowed. Lyra tightened her grip on Tavi. Rin motioned for silence. They huddled, bodies pressed into the shadows of the tunnel. Minutes stretched like hours. The search continued outside, footsteps pausing, doors sliding, voices murmuring commands. Then, finally, the sounds moved on, fading into distance. Lyra exhaled slowly. Tavi stirred, eyes blinking open.
"Safe?" the child asked. "Yes," Evan said, relief washing through him.
For now, you're safe.
Ryan nodded, but only for now. We need to plan next steps carefully. Staying here too long isn't safe either. The station won't forget you. Lyra looked at Evan, gratitude and worry mingling in her tired eyes. Thank You, human friend. Evan shook his head. No, we all need each other. That's how we survive. The tunnel was silent again. They sat together in that narrow, humming space, knowing the real danger had only just begun. But for the first time in days, Tavi's breathing was steady, and Lyra's body relaxed, if only slightly. They had a moment of peace, fragile and fleeting, but theirs. Outside, the station continued its slow, methodical hum. Somewhere down the corridor, security teams moved, unaware of the small group hiding in the maintenance tunnels. And somewhere further, decisions were being made that could change everything. Evan stared at the faint glow of the lights above, thinking about the strange twist of fate that brought them here. Two lives, alien and fragile, now depended on him and a human who had trusted the right choice over protocol. He understood that what they were doing was dangerous, maybe even impossible, but he also understood that the alternative, turning them away, was unacceptable. Minutes turned to hours. The tension in the tunnel slowly gave way to a quiet determination. Evan knew that helping Lyra and Tavi would not be simple. It would not be easy. But he also knew that leaving them out there was not an option. Not when hope could still be protected by human hands. As the night stretched on, they settled into a cautious rhythm. Ryan checked for patrols, Evan provided quiet reassurance, and Lyra whispered soft, calming words to Tavi. They were hidden for now, safe in the belly of the station's unseen corridors. But beyond the metal walls, the station was stirring, and somewhere in the heart of human authority, decisions were being made that could change the lives of everyone inside. And the first part of the night had only just passed. The hum of the station felt heavier as the first light of the artificial morning flickered in the distant corridors. Evan sat with his back against a cool pipe, watching Tavi, who had curled up against Lyra's side. Sleep came in short bursts, always interrupted by the echoes of boots above them, or the soft hiss of air vents. Rin shifted beside him. "We can't stay here much longer," the maintenance worker whispered. "If they trace power fluctuations, they'll find us. We need to move, or find a stronger hiding place." Evan nodded, though he felt the weight of the choice pressing on him. Moving through the station was dangerous. Security teams could be anywhere, but staying meant eventual capture. The thought of what might happen to Lyra and Tavi if found made him tighten his fists. He looked at the alien mother. Her eyes, large and dark, reflected quiet strength. She whispered to Tavi in soft tones, words that Evan could not understand, yet their effect was clear. The child relaxed slightly, trusting her completely. Evan realized that the bond between them was deeper than language, older than words. It was instinctive, protective, unbreakable. "I need to know more," Evan said quietly to Lyra, "about why they are after you. What did you do, or what happened?" Lyra hesitated, her eyes shadowed with memory. "Our message. We sent it long ago. Warn humans. They ignored. Then they destroyed our ship. Only Tavi and I escaped." Evan frowned. A warning? Humans ignored it, and now she was considered dangerous. That was hard to believe, but looking at her, he felt the truth in her words. Not all human systems were just.
Not all humans cared for what was right.
"Message?" Evan asked. "What kind of message?" Lyra shook her head. "Important. Stars. A danger."
"Many lives," we tried to warn.
They did not listen. Evan looked at Tavi, who was watching him intently. "Do you understand that?" he asked softly. The child nodded once. There was an intelligence behind those silver eyes, almost too old for someone so young. Tavi had seen more than any child should. "Rin," Evan said, glancing at the maintenance worker, "we need to find a secure place where they can stay, somewhere humans won't look. Do you know a way?" Rin tapped his chin thoughtfully. "Yes. There's a section in the lower decks, storage tunnels, old supply routes, mostly abandoned. No security cameras. We could hide there temporarily." The decision was made quickly. They moved through the ventilation and maintenance tunnels, careful to avoid main corridors. Every turn brought a new risk. Lights flickering, distant voices, metal doors sliding open. Each time, Tavi pressed close to Lyra, and Evan felt a sharp, protective urge. They were not just hiding aliens, they were guarding fragile lives. After what felt like hours, they reached a small chamber tucked under a stairwell that had been sealed for years. Dust floated in the dim light, and the air smelled of metal and old machinery. It was safe, for now. Lyra looked around, her eyes softening. "Here." "Good," she whispered. Tavi dropped onto a pile of old blankets and let out a small sigh. "Safe?" the child asked. Evan nodded. "For now, yes. We can rest." The group settled into the narrow chamber, exhaustion pressing down on them. Ryan checked a small panel of old station wiring, ensuring no signals leaked outside. Evan kept watch near the entrance, listening for any sign of discovery. Hours passed in near silence. Outside, the station moved in mechanical rhythm, unaware of the small group hidden below. Inside, Lyra whispered to Tavi, sharing fragments of stories from their homeworld, of peaceful times and of the warning they tried to send. Evan felt a mixture of admiration and worry. These beings, so fragile and small, carried knowledge and courage beyond human understanding. He realized that protecting them was not just an act of kindness. It was a duty, a responsibility that went beyond rules, beyond protocol. Suddenly, a faint vibration ran through the floor. Evan froze, listening. Ryan's eyes narrowed. "Patrol," he whispered. "They are checking lower levels. Possibly trace some signals from maintenance." Evan's heart pounded. They had to stay completely silent. Tavi pressed into Lyra's side, sensing the tension. Lyra held the child tighter, whispering calming words. Evan felt a pang of helplessness, wishing he could guarantee their safety. The footsteps passed slowly, echoing along the metal corridors above. Then, silence returned. Evan exhaled slowly, feeling relief wash over him. They were still hidden, still unseen. As the hours stretched, Evan spoke softly. "We need to understand why your message was ignored. Maybe then we can find a way to make humans listen before it's too late." Lyra nodded, eyes tired but determined. "Must. Lives, many." Tavi listened, eyes wide, and repeated a word Evan could not understand, a small sound of determination. It was clear even to him that the child grasped the importance of their mission, despite being so small. They shared a quiet meal of ration packs, the simplicity of the food contrasting with the complexity of their situation. Evan realized that despite danger, hope was present. Each small act of care, each whispered word, built a fragile network of trust. The station above was dangerous, but within this small chamber, humanity and alien resilience met in quiet harmony. Rin moved to check the panels again. "We can extend this hiding place," he said. "Some vents lead to other areas that are completely unmonitored. If needed, we can create a temporary path for escape." Evan nodded. "Good. We have to be ready. If they find us, we can't run blindly." "We need a plan." Night stretched on.
Artificial though it was.
Tavi finally drifted to sleep, nestled against Lyra. Evan watched them, feeling the weight of their survival pressing down on him. Protecting them was more than fear. It was a promise. The station's systems hummed quietly, but somewhere decisions were being made. Orders were being transmitted. Teams were moving in the higher decks. And yet, in the forgotten lower chambers, small acts of courage persisted. Humans had chosen empathy over protocol, and in that choice, the alien mother and child found fragile safety. Evan felt a quiet pride, not in himself, not in Rhine, but in the choice humanity could make when it counted. He knew this was only the beginning. The real danger would come soon. But for now, they survived. And in survival, there was hope. In understanding, there was the first spark of something larger. A chance that humans and aliens could work together, could protect life beyond fear, and rule. Hours later, Evan and Rhine mapped potential routes through the lower decks. Lyra and Tavi rested quietly, but their eyes remained alert, trained to sense danger. Every sound mattered, every vibration a warning. Evan felt the tension of anticipation tighten around them like a metal band. The night would not last forever, and when morning arrived, they would have to move again. The child stirred and whispered something to Lyra, words of curiosity and worry. The mother's response was soft, protective, a promise that they would survive together. Evan watched, realizing that he was witnessing a bond that defied species, one built on trust, empathy, and determination. It was extraordinary, and it reminded him why they could not fail. Outside, the station carried on. Unseen, decisions were being made that would affect countless lives, but within the lower deck tunnels, the alien mother and child rested, guarded by humans who chose courage over fear. And as the station's hum continued, a quiet hope settled over them, a fragile, precious hope that they would see the future together, alive. The lower decks stayed quiet longer than Evan expected. The silence was not peaceful. It felt planned, like the station was holding its breath. Evan stood near the narrow entrance of the hidden chamber, listening to the metal walls, trying to sense danger before it arrived. Rhine returned from a short check through a side vent, his face tight. "Security teams are spreading out," he whispered. "They are not rushing. They are sealing areas one by one. They know something is wrong." Evan felt a chill. Slow searches were worse than fast ones. It meant command believed the target was still inside the station. Lyra looked up from where she sat with Tavi.
"They are hunting," she said quietly. "Yes," Evan replied.
"And we need to stay ahead of them." Tavi shifted closer to Evan, small fingers gripping his sleeve for a moment before pulling back. The child looked ashamed, as if afraid to be a burden. "It's okay," Evan said gently. "You're safe with us." The child nodded, but the fear did not fully leave their eyes. Rin crouched near the old wiring panel and pulled up a faint map on his wrist screen. "There is a cargo transfer spine running under this deck," he said. "It connects to the station's outer storage ring. No one uses it anymore."
If we reach it, we can move without cameras. And after that? Evan asked.
Rhine hesitated. "That's where it gets risky. The outer ring is close to docking control." Evan understood immediately. Docking control meant ships.
Escape or exposure.
Lyra listened closely. "If we are seen," she said, "humans will panic."
Not all of them, Evan replied, though he knew fear spread faster than truth.
They waited another hour, timing their move with a scheduled systems check that Rhine had quietly delayed. When the moment came, they moved fast, slipping through vents and narrow service paths, their footsteps swallowed by the constant hum of the station. The cargo spine was colder than the rest of the station, its walls thick and scarred from old transport use. Dim lights flickered overhead. Large rails ran along the floor where heavy containers once moved. Tavi stared at the space in awe. "Big," the child whispered. "Yes," Evan said. "And empty. That's good." They moved along the spine, careful to stay close to the shadows. Evan's heart raced, every sound feeling louder than it should be. He knew they were crossing a line now. If caught here, there would be no quiet explanations. Halfway through the spine, a low alarm tone echoed faintly through the metal. Ryan froze. "That's not a full alert," he said. "It's a location lock." Evan's wrist console lit up with a warning he had never seen before. Restricted movement detected in auxiliary sectors.
"They're closing in," Evan said. Lyra's breathing quickened.
She knelt and pulled Tavi close, whispering urgently in her own language. The child nodded, eyes wide but focused. "We don't have time to hide again," Ryan said. "We need to reach the outer ring now." They ran. Their footsteps echoed despite their care. The cargo spine seemed endless, the far hatch smaller than it should have been. Evan felt his lungs burn, fear pushing him forward. Behind them, voices echoed. Human voices. Orders being shouted.
"There!" someone yelled. A stunned pulse hit the wall near Evan's head, sending sparks across the metal.
He ducked, heart hammering. "Keep moving," he shouted. They reached the hatch just as another pulse struck the floor behind them. Ryan slammed his palm against the manual release. The hatch groaned, then slid open. They spilled into the outer storage ring. The space was wide and curved, lined with old containers and unused equipment. Large viewports showed stars drifting slowly outside. For a brief moment, Evan forgot the danger. The universe looked calm, uncaring. Then alarms began to rise, louder this time. Red lights flashed. "Security breach in outer ring," a voice announced. "All personnel stand down." Lyra froze. "They will seal this area," she said. Evan looked around desperately. Docking control sat across the ring, separated by an open stretch with little cover. "We can't reach it unseen," Ryan said.
"Not now."
Footsteps thundered behind them as security poured into the spine. Evan felt something hard settle in his chest. There was no perfect move left, only a choice. He stepped forward, away from Lyra and Tavi. "What are you doing?" Rin hissed. "Buying time," Evan said. Before anyone could stop him, Evan stepped into the open and raised his hands. "Stop," he shouted. "I'm here." The security team halted, weapons raised. "On the ground," a voice ordered. Evan knelt slowly, keeping his body between the team and the containers where Lyra and Tavi hid. "There are no threats here," Evan said loudly. "Only civilians. Unauthorized alien presence detected," the lead officer replied. "Stand aside." "No," Evan said. The word felt heavy, final. Behind him, Lyra watched, her eyes wide with shock. She had not expected this. Humans were not supposed to do this. Not for them. Tavi whispered, "Why is he doing that?" Lyra swallowed. "Because he is kind." The officers advanced. Before they reached Evan, a new voice cut through the alarms. "Hold your position." Everyone froze. A figure stepped into the ring from the docking corridor. A woman in a command uniform, her expression tight but thoughtful. "What is going on here?" she asked. The lead officer snapped to attention. "Unauthorized alien refugees, ma'am. Orders are to detain immediately." The commander's eyes moved to Evan, then past him to the shadows. Refugees, she repeated slowly. Yes, ma'am. Potential threat. Evan spoke before fear could stop him. They're not a threat. They were trying to warn us.
We attacked them. Murmurs rippled through the security team.
That is a serious claim, the commander said. Do you have proof?
Lyra stepped forward then, holding Tavi's hand.
Her body shook, but her voice was steady.
We sent a message, she said.
About what is coming. You ignored it. Please, listen now. The commander looked at Tavi. The child met her gaze without fear. Silence filled the ring, broken only by alarms. Slowly, the commander raised a hand. Stand down, she ordered. The weapons lowered. Evan felt his knees weaken with relief.
We're not enemies, the commander said quietly.
But this station has rules. Yes, Evan replied. And sometimes rules are wrong.
The commander studied him for a long moment. Take them to docking control, she said finally. Quietly, I want to hear this message. Hope flickered through Evan's chest. As they moved, alarms softened, downgraded. The station did not calm, but it paused. Lyra leaned toward Evan as they walked. You risked everything, she said. Evan shook his head. Not everything, just the part that matters. Behind them, security followed at a distance, unsure now who the real threat was. And far beyond the station, unseen but approaching, something ancient moved between the stars. Docking control was quieter than Evan expected. The alarms had faded into low warning tones, and most of the staff stood frozen at their stations, unsure whether to act or wait. The curved window at the far end showed open space, stars scattered like dust. Calm and cold. Lyra stood near the center of the room with Tavi beside her. Security officers formed a loose circle around them, weapons lowered but still ready. The commander stood near a console, arms crossed, eyes fixed on the alien mother. You said you sent a message, the commander said. When? Long ago, Lyra replied. Before humans came near our space. We saw it first. Saw what? Evan asked quietly. Lyra took a slow breath.
A moving dark, not empty space.
Not life, something that eats energy. Stars go quiet where it passes. A few technicians exchanged uneasy looks. That's impossible, one muttered. Tavi stepped forward slightly, holding a small device close to their chest. It looked old, scratched and cracked, but still alive with a faint inner glow. This, Lyra said, is what remains of the warning. She placed the device on the central console. Lights flickered. Screens across the room came alive without command input. Symbols scrolled, then shifted into rough human visuals. Evan felt his stomach tighten. The images showed systems of stars dimming one by one, then ships, ancient and broken, drifting through dead space. The last image showed a shadow moving against the light of a galaxy, slow but unstoppable. Silence filled docking control. That signal, a technician whispered, matches the strange energy loss reports from outer colonies. The commander turned sharply. Why wasn't this shared with command? Another officer swallowed. It was flagged as alien misinformation. Suppressed, Evan felt anger burn in his chest. Suppressed because it was inconvenient. The commander did not argue. A new alert sounded, different from the station alarms. Deeper, external. A voice spoke over the system. Unidentified fleet entering system boundary. Multiple heads turned toward the main screen. Several ships appeared, large but damaged, holding position at the edge of sensor range. They did not advance. They did not power weapons. Lyra's shoulders sagged with relief. "They came," she said softly. "Who are they?" the commander asked. "Survivors," Lyra replied. "Those who listened." The room erupted in tense voices. Security demanded orders. Technicians called out readings. The commander raised her voice. Silence. She turned to Lyra. "Are they hostile?" "No," Lyra said. "They are afraid, like us." Before the commander could respond, another alert cut in. This one came from deep space sensors, long range. Old systems rarely used. Evan saw the color drain from the technician's face. "What is it?" the commander demanded.
Energy collapse, the technician said, at the edge of the system.
Something just removed a star's output. It went dark. The room fell silent again. Tavi looked up at Evan. "It's close," the child whispered. The commander closed her eyes briefly, then opened them with resolve. "All ships, power up defensive grids. Prepare evacuation protocols." "That won't stop it," Lyra said gently. The commander turned. "Then tell us how to survive."
Lyra met her gaze. "You do what you just did."
"You listen, you share. You don't fight alone." The commander looked around the room, at humans frozen between fear and disbelief. Then she nodded. "Open a channel," she ordered, "to the fleet, and to nearby human stations. Broadcast everything." Security hesitated. "Command will. I am command here," the commander snapped. The channel opened. Across the screens, alien faces appeared. Different shapes, different colors, all tired, all watching. Lyra stepped forward. "We warned them once," she said into the channel. "We will not whisper this time." The data spread fast, faster than suppression could stop it. Human ships began responding. Civilian channels lit up, questions flooded in. Outside the window, the alien fleet moved closer, slow and careful. Then the station shuddered. A deep vibration ran through the metal. Lights flickered. Gravity stuttered for a second. "What was that?" someone shouted. The technician stared at the screen in horror. Another star just dimmed. I. Closer. Evan felt fear grip him hard. This was not a future threat. It was here. The commander clenched her fists. "Evacuate non-essential personnel." "Now." Tavi suddenly pulled free from Lyra's hand and walked toward the center of the room. "Tavi!" Lyra said sharply. The child ignored her, placing small hands against the console. "What are you doing?" Evan asked. "I can talk to it," Tavi said. The room froze. "To the dark?" the commander asked. Tavi nodded. "It listens. It just doesn't understand fear." "I?" or "Mercy." "That's insane," someone whispered. Lyra's voice shook. "Our children were trained to translate patterns."
Energy mines. Tavi is.
"Gifted." The station shook again. Stronger this time. Evan moved beside Tavi. "If you do this, you won't be alone." Tavi looked up and smiled faintly. "Humans don't leave." The child's hands glowed softly as energy flowed through the console. The screen shifted again, no longer showing maps or data, but something abstract. Waves, pulses, a language older than speech. Outside, the stars seemed to flicker. Then every alarm went silent. Complete silence. For a long moment, no one breathed. Slowly, One distant star stabilized. Its light returned, weak but present. The technician whispered. It slowed. Cheers almost broke out, but the commander raised her hand. Not yet. Tavi swayed. Evan caught the child before they fell. Lyra rushed forward, panic in her eyes. Tavi, she cried. I'm okay, the child whispered. It hurt us. It's thinking. Evan held Tavi carefully, feeling how light the child was. You did enough, he said. The commander approached. Her expression changed.
You saved time, she said. That might save us all. Outside the station, ships moved into formation.
Human and alien together. The shadow at the edge of sensors slowed. It did not retreat, but it did not advance. And for the first time since the warning was sent, the universe waited. The stars outside the docking control were calm again, but the weight of what had happened hung in the room. Evan held Tavi close, feeling the small warmth of the child's body. Lyra watched, exhaustion written across her features. Yet her eyes shone with relief. The station had survived the first contact with the approaching threat, thanks to the courage and choices of a few. The commander stood at the console, speaking quietly to her officers. Coordinate with the fleet. Spread the message to nearby systems. Every station needs to know. Evan let go of Tavi and stepped back. It's working, he said softly. Lyra nodded.
For now, but there is more.
This shadow will not wait forever. The warning must spread farther. Ryan, who had been silent through the events, finally spoke. We need a plan for the station itself. It can't withstand a direct strike. Evacuation is only temporary protection. Yes, the commander agreed. We need to protect civilians, coordinate defenses with ships in orbit. Use everything available. Tavi climbed onto a small chair and placed their hands on the console again, though lighter this time. The glow from the child's palms pulsed gently, a reminder of the bridge between species and understanding.
You don't need to push anymore, Lyra said.
You have done enough. The child shook their head. I will help. We all must help. Evan watched in awe. The child's courage was beyond their years, and yet it was clear they carried the weight of responsibility, a burden that could crush someone smaller. Outside, the alien fleet had positioned itself in a defensive formation, surrounding the station and human ships. There was still a tension in the void, a watchfulness that reminded everyone of the danger lingering beyond sight. A communication came through from one of the nearby colonies. It was chaotic, filled with fear and confusion. The people had seen anomalies in star brightness and strange energy fluctuations. Lyra and Tavi worked with the staff to translate the warnings into forms the humans could understand. Hours passed. The station became a hub of urgent activity. Humans and aliens worked side by side, translating, analyzing, planning. Evan moved from console to console, helping wherever needed. He saw the exhaustion in the crew's eyes, yet they pressed on, united by something greater than orders. Finally, a lull came. The external sensors showed no new energy anomalies. The dark shadow in the far system held its place, observing but not advancing. Communication channels filled with messages from humans, curious, fearful, but ready to cooperate. The first threads of alliance were forming. Evan sat with Ryan on a bench in the now quiet docking control. We made a difference, he said quietly. Ryan nodded. A small one, but enough to buy time. Lyra approached, Tavi still beside her. Time is all we need, she said softly. If humans and others listen now, more will survive. More stars will remain lit. The commander stepped forward, Her expression softened. You risked everything to protect lives that weren't even yours, she said to Evan and Ryan. That is humanity at its best. Evan looked at her, humbled. It's what we should always be. Tavi smiled faintly, small fingers brushing Evan's hand. Humans can be good, the child said. Yes, Lyra agreed, if you choose to be. Evan glanced at the viewport, the stars beyond shining steadily once more. The alien fleet and human ships hovered together, a fragile peace. There was no victory yet. The shadow had not left, but the first act of unity had begun, and in that there was hope. The station slowly returned to routine operations, though with heightened vigilance. Alerts were monitored carefully, evacuation protocols ready, yet there was a quiet understanding among the crew. They had seen courage and compassion triumph over fear. They had seen humans choose empathy, even when it meant risking everything. Lyra and Tavi were finally able to rest, holding each other close. Evan and Ryan stood nearby, keeping a quiet watch. There was still danger, but it was no longer overwhelming. They had allies. They had understanding. And they had made a choice to protect life above all else. In the calm of the docking control, Evan felt a deep satisfaction, quiet but powerful. Humans had acted in the moment that mattered most, choosing to listen, to trust, and to protect. It was a reminder that the strength of a species was not measured by weapons or speed, but by the courage to do what was right. The stars beyond twinkled softly, as if acknowledging the fragile alliance, and for the first time in many cycles, Lyra allowed herself to smile fully, holding Tavi close. They were survivors, and perhaps, just perhaps, they had found a place among humans who could understand that life, no matter how different, deserved protection. Evan looked at the mother and child, at Ryan, and at the commander. This was more than survival. It was proof that humanity could rise above fear, that empathy and courage could shape the future. The shadow in space remained, waiting, watching. But it had been warned. It had been faced, and the first step towards survival and alliance had been taken. In the corridors of the station, in the hearts of humans and aliens alike, a new understanding grew. Humanity had chosen to be more than just observers of the cosmos. Humanity had chosen to act, to protect, to listen. And that choice, fragile as it was, might just make all the difference in the universe to come.